Welcome back, my dear friends. Hope you are enjoying these tutorials. We have seen how functions and if-else work in the previous video. Now in this video, we are going to see how loops work, for loop, while loop, and some programs around loops. Okay, so let's get started, my dear friends. We have seen how functions work already. We are on the namastedev.com/playground. In this playground, let's start to learn loop. Suppose if somebody says you have to print hello world, how would you print it? Right? How would you print it, my dear friends? You would just do console.log hello world. Somebody says you have to print this hello world 3 times. How would you print it? You would print it something like this 3 times, 4 times, right? This is how you would print it 3 times. Suppose if somebody says you how to print this hello world 100 times, what would you do? Will you write this 100 times? It's foolish. So whenever you have to do a repetitive task, you need a loop. Loop means doing things over and over again. That means a loop, right? And how do you write that loop in JavaScript is what I'm going to teach you. So this is a loop class. In this class, I would teach you loops, for loop and while loop. There are 2 types of loops, for loop and while loop. Majorly, we will cover a lot of for loops because for loops are very important. You will see we will be using a lot of for loops in Namaste DSA also. So be very good at for loops, right? Now, let's just see how we can write for loops, and you should be confident when you are writing loop, what happens behind the scenes, okay? How that loop is running and how it is executed, everything you should know. So let's write for loop. I want to print hello world onto the console 20 times, okay? Using a for loop, okay? How would I do that? Let me just write a for loop first of all, and then I would tell you and explain you what's happening, right? First step in this for loop is initialization. I would say let I is equals to 0. I'm initializing I is equals to 0. And then I would say I is less than 20. And then I would say I plus plus. Okay, so this is how you write a for loop. And this is how you write a for loop. And whatever you write inside this curly braces will be executed every time this loop runs. This loop is kind of like a cycle. Every cycle, this will run in cycle, right? So every cycle, whatever you write inside this code, whatever you write inside these curly braces will be executed, right? Number of times, right? So if I write console.log of hello world, so you would see hello world will be printed 20 times, right? Hello world will be printed 20 times. If I change this number to 10, right, it will be printed 10 times. If I change this to 100, it will actually be printed 100 times, right? So that's how the loop works, okay? That's how your loop works. Now, let me explain you how for loop works using my pen and paper, right? And hope you're taking notes also. It's very, very important to understand how loop works, right? If you don't understand this, you will never understand DSA. Trust me. You will not be able to do any programming, any data structures and algorithm. No, you have to understand for loops. It's a very important topic, very, very important topic inside JavaScript and in programming as per se, right? In programming, loops are most important topic. Let's get started. So let me tell you how to write a for loop. So basically, this is a for loop. The first thing that you write over here is you have to initialize a variable, right? So I would say let I is equals to 0. That means, so it is basically an initialization that you do for a normal variable. We write like let A is equals to 10. Something like this, right? It's a normal variable initialization that I'm doing. The first thing is initialization. The second thing is a condition. Right? The second part of this for loop is a condition. Now I would say, I want to run this loop till my I is less than 20. I is less than 20. Up till then, I want to run my loop, right? Or for the sake of simplicity, let me just keep this number as 5, right? I want to run this loop till my I is less than 5, right? If this condition is true, keep running my loop. Then comes a change, then comes an increment that we can do, right? So this increment that we can do. So I can say I plus plus, right? That means I want to increment I by 1, right? Just understand this. I'll explain you every line, right? And then I'll just do console.log and I can print hello world. I will explain you everything, don't worry, right? If you don't understand this. Let me repeat it once again. The first step is initialization. Sorry, my bad. Let me just make it a little lesser bold. Initialization, right? This is the first thing. Then you write a condition and then you write a change, right? Then you write a change. This can be increment, decrement or something like that. And if you are confused, what is this I plus plus? This is basically like I is equals to I plus 1. Basically, it is like incrementing I by 1, right? So I plus plus is equivalent to I is equals to I plus 1. Suppose if the value of I is 2, then I becomes 2 plus 1, 3, right? That's how it increments, right? So that's what I plus plus is. Don't get confused. Now, how will this for loop works? First of all, I have initialized I by 0. Now, till my condition is true, right? If this condition is true, my loop will run. When I say loop will run, that means this line will run, right? This code, whatever I have written, will be executed. So how this program will run is, suppose this is your console. So what will happen? I is initially 0, right? I is 0 right now. Now what will happen? It will check, my for loop will check Is my I less than 5? Is 0 less than 5? The current value of I is 0. Is my I less than 5? Yes, it is less than 5. If this condition is true, then this code is executed. Then this for loop code is executed. And when this code is executed, in the console, hello world is printed. Hello world is printed. When hello world is printed, now the value of I changes by I plus plus. That means now the value of I has become 1, right? Now the value of I has become 1 over here. Now what happens when the I value becomes 1? It again checks the condition whether it is less than 5. Yes, it is less than 5. So what happens? It will again run this code. It will again run this code, and in the console, hello world is printed. Got it? Once this code is printed, then it will again change the value of I plus plus. Now my I becomes 2. Got it? Now my I becomes 2. And again it is less than 5. So again console log hello world is printed. Right? Now my I is again incremented. It becomes 3. It is less than 5. It again prints hello world. Isn't it? Then my I becomes 4. And then it again checks. Is it less than 5? Yes, it is less than 5. It again prints hello world. Right? Then my I again increases by I plus plus, and now my I becomes 5. This time my I is 5. It checks whether I is less than 5. So 5 less than 5. Is 5 less than 5? No. This time my condition fails. Right? It fails. Why it fails? Because 5 is not less than 5. 4 is less than 5. 5 is not less than 5. So now my loop ends. Right? Whenever this condition fails, basically this condition is the most important thing. Whenever this condition fails, my loop stops executing. Right? My cycle stops executing. My cycle executed when the I was 0. It executed once. Then it again executed when I was 1. When I was 2, when I was 3, when I was 4, when I was 5. So that means 5 times this line was executed, and 5 times hello world was printed onto the console. Did you understand this? Did you understand this? Should I explain you once again? Right? Let me explain you once again. Right? Why not? I know some people would have understood it already, but let me explain you once again. I am not going to do any lazy work over here. I want my students to fall in love with programming, and I will give 100% of my efforts to do that. I want to be really good in loops, my dear friends, because this is a very, very important thing. It's a very important thing. You should know how to write for loops. Otherwise, you won't like programming. So for loop is something which I want to do again and again. Basic for loop is you write for, I want to initialize, I would do let I is equals to 0. I want to start my I at 0. This is the starting point. Okay. Now this is the starting points. I want to write a condition. Let me say I is less than 4. Okay. This time I'm putting I is less than 4. This is the condition. And then I say I is equals to I plus 1. You can even write this. Don't write I plus plus, right? It's exactly same as I plus plus. Okay. It's a shorthand that you call it as. And then you do a console.log of hello world. Okay. So this is how you write a basic for loop. This is your initialization. This is your initialization. This is your condition. Right? And this is your change. That means increment or decrement, or there can be different type of changes. We'll see it later on. Okay. So let's see how this program is executed. Now suppose this is your console, right? This is your console. Now let me again dry run this program. This is known as dry run, right? How this program is executed. Okay. I will again run this. So initially the value of I is 0, right? Initially the value of I is 0. It checks for the condition, is I less than 4? Yes, I is less than 4. So what will happen is this code is executed, right? Whatever is there in this curly braces, this code is executed, and in my console, hello world is printed. Hello world gets printed. Now the change happens, I becomes 1. So I becomes 1, right? Now again it checks whether the condition is true or not. This condition is true. I is less than 4, right? It is 1, it is less than 4. So hello world is printed again, right? Now I becomes 2, right? Because the change happens, I becomes 2. Again this code runs and hello world is printed, right? Then I becomes 3. Again hello world is printed. Now my I becomes 4. Now it again checks whether I is less than 4. No, here the condition fails and my loop ends. Loop ends, my dear friends. Here the loop ends and nothing else is printed, and on my console 4 times hello world is printed. Okay, on my console we print hello world 4 times. So if I'm doing less than 4 over here, okay, if I'm doing less than 4 over here, right, so it will be printed 4 times. So that means my loop is running from 0 to less than 4, right? 0 to less than 4. That means 0, 1, 2, 3. As soon as it becomes 4, this condition is ended. So it runs for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Got it? This is how you do it. Now, let's make a small change over here. What if I say that suppose if my I over here becomes less than equal to 4. Suppose if my I becomes less than equal to 4. How will my code run, right? Suppose if everything else is same, if I just do less than equal to 4, how will this work? Let's try to do a dry run over here, right? Or let me just remove it. Right? Let me just remove it. Erase it. Right? Sorry, my bad. So let me just remove everything. And this time, can you do it yourself? Pause the video and try to dry run it yourself and see if you can figure that out. Right? So basically, I am trying to do, now my I is less than equal to 4. Okay? So how will this work? Here is my console, right? This is my console. Okay. Now, what we will do is, initially my I is 0, it prints hello world, and now I plus plus happens and my I becomes 1, right? Now again it is less than equal to 4. Yes, the condition is true. Hello world is printed, I increases, I becomes 2. Hello world is printed, I becomes 3. Hello world is printed, I becomes 4. Now it checks whether 4 is less than equal to 4. Yes, this condition is still true because this equal to is there, right? 4 is less than equal to 4. It's true. Yes, this condition is true. When this condition is true, hello world is printed, right? Now my I becomes 5 and it fails over here. My condition fails, and on the console 5 times hello world is printed, right? The hello world is printed 5 times if you write less than equal to over here. If I do equal to, you see that, and everything that I told you is happens in fraction of seconds, right? Just if I hit this, all that happened, that loop executed very fast, 4 times, 5 times, right? As soon as I hit enter, it ran 5 times and it quickly outputted hello world 5 times, right? That's how powerful loops are. That is why loops are very, 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 very important. Okay. Now you would say, Akshay, how do I see whether this I is changing or not? Shall I show you if I is changing or not? Okay. Shall I show you if I is changing or not? Let me just print I, right? Suppose if I say hello world and I want to add I over here. Do you see an amazing thing over here on the right hand side? Hello world 0, hello world 1, hello world 2, hello world 3, hello world 4. These are the values of I which are changing every time this loop is executing, right? This code is executed on loop, right? So every time this loop happens, the value of I is getting changed from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And as soon as, do you see this, right? This is what I told you, right? So my I value changes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. As soon as it becomes 5, it fails and it does not execute any further. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. As soon as it becomes 5, it does not change any further. Got it? It does not change any further, my dear friends. Got it? So now, let me just give you one more output question, right? So it's an interesting question. So again, suppose if my for loop starts from 0, let me not start from 0 now. This question, let me say if my for loop starts from 3 and my I is less than 5, right? And then if I say I is equals to I plus 1, right? Or I would say it's one and the same thing, right? Let me write I plus plus because this is the most common syntax of writing it. And if I do console.log of hello world, right? HW, hello world. How would it work? How would it behave? Can you tell me, right? How would it behave? Can you guess the output? Can you guess the output? This is the output question, right? So if you can guess it, pause the video, guess it, try to run it yourself, try to do it yourself in paper and pen. If you are able to do it, then come back, watch the video. Let me just tell you now. So initially the value of I is 3, right? Now it will check whether it is less than 5. Yes, it is less than 5. Yes, it is less than 5. And then what will happen is this code will be executed. Hello world will be printed over here. Right? Now my I plus plus happens, my I becomes 4. Again, it checks whether it is less than 5. Yes, it is less than 5. Again, hello world is printed. Now my I is again incremented. Now it becomes 5. Now it will check, is I less than 5? No, my dear friends. Now this condition fails. It says 5 is less than 5. No, it's false. As soon as it fails, my loop ends and only 2 times hello world is printed. Right? Hello world is printed only 2 times. If I change this value, I is equals to 3, and if I say less than 5, only 2 times hello world is printed and the value of I becomes 3 and 4, right? Over here, the value of I becomes 3 and the value of I becomes 4. And as soon as it becomes 5, my loop fails. And over here, you can see hello world 3, hello world 4. This is the value of I. Got it? Do you understand that? Right? Suppose if you understood, right? So basically, it can start from anywhere and it can add anywhere, right? It can go till anywhere, right? And this I plus plus is exactly same as doing I is equals to I plus 1, right? It is exactly same. I don't know why my playground is hanged. Let me refresh the page. My browser has been hanged now, right? So I'm not sure why. I can just open it in a new tab, okay? Let me exit the page. Let me go back to the playground. Oh my God, let me write my for loop once again, right? For let I is equals to 0, I less than 10, and then I can say I is equals to I plus 1, and then I can, sorry, my bad. Okay, and then I can say console.log of hello world, and then I can say plus I, right? So hello world goes from 0 to 9, right? Whenever you are running loop from 0 to less than 10, that means it is running till 9. Okay. Now, suppose if I play with this, right? If I do console log of I, what will be printed? If I do console log of I, it will print the value of I from 0 to 1. Suppose if I do console log of I plus 1, so what it will do? It will print from 1 to 10. Why? Because the I goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm adding 1 to it. Right? I'm adding 1 to it, so it is printing from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I add 2 to it, it will print 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So that's how loop actually works. Let me give you one more output question to make your understanding of loops even more clearer. So this is the question, right? Let me give it to you. So for loop, now this loop starts from, maybe let's say my loop starts from 2, and this time I would say less than 9. And now what I will do, I will change this. I is equals to I plus 2, right? So let me give it to you like this, right? I is equals to I plus 2. Now I have changed this condition, right? I have changed this behavior, right? And then let's do console.log of, can you do this yourself? Hello world, right? Can you do this yourself? Can you tell me the output of this? Right? This is the console. Can you tell me the output of this, please? Can you tell me? Try to dry run it. Let me dry run it. If you are able to solve it, just check your answer. I initially is 2. It checks whether it is less than 9. Yes, it is less than 9. So what happens? Hello world is printed. Now I will check I is equals to I plus 2. So this time my I does not become 3. It becomes I is equals to I plus 2. What is the value of I is 2. So 2 plus 2 becomes 4 over here. Now, as soon as the value of I becomes 4, now it checks for I is less than 9. It is true. So it prints hello world once again. Got it? Now my I plus I is equals to I plus 2. That means I becomes 4 plus 2, which is 6. And then hello world is again printed. Now my I plus 2 again happens. My I becomes 8 and my hello world is again printed. Now again the increment happens. I becomes 10. But this time this 10, it checks whether it is less than 9 or not. It's not less than 9. So this condition fails over here. And hello world is printed 4 times onto the console. And the I value is 2468, right? The I is incremented by 2 every time my loop is executed. Hope you have understood this, right? Hope you have understood this. Let me write this code and show it to you. If I is equals to 2, I is less than 10, or you can say less than 9. Let's write less than 9. And then I can say I is equals to I plus 2. What do you see? And let me just print I. You would see 2468. And let me write hello world also so that it looks a little better. Hello world plus I. Do you see this? Hello world 2468, right? 2468 and 4 times hello world is printed. As soon as the I becomes 10, it fails, right? As soon as the I becomes 10, it fails. So you can increment it any number of times you want to. You can even do I is equals to I plus 3, and this will be executing only 3 times now. First of all, it will be 2, then it becomes 2 plus 3, 5, then it becomes 5 plus 3, 8, then it becomes 11, and as soon as it becomes 11, my this condition is false. So basically, for loop depends on this condition. This is a very important condition, and this is an increment, right? This is again important. So that's how it works, and it runs this again and again. Cool. Let me tell you one more output question, right? Let me show you one more output question. Let me add a page. Add a page. How do you add a page over here? Add a blank page, right? So let me add a blank page. Cool. So I will add a blank page for you all. So for now, this time my I goes from 10, and then I would say I starts from 5. Let's say my I starts from 5 and it is greater than 0. I minus minus. Or I would say you can write I minus minus, or you can write I is equals to I minus 1, right? So now this is kind of like a reverse loop, right? This is kind of like reverse of what we were doing. And it again prints hello world. Cool. So can you dry run this? Can you dry run this yourself? You have enough knowledge already. Can you dry run this? Please dry run it. And then come back and see how I am doing it, right? So what happens is, initially the value of I is 5, right? It checks whether it is greater than 0. Yes, it is greater than 0. Yes, my value is greater than 0. So what happens is it prints hello world onto the console. And then this statement is executed. Now this time I'm decrementing the value of I, so I becomes 4. It again checks, is it greater than 0? I have reversed this condition also. Earlier we were just checking for less than, right? Earlier we were checking for less than. I can now check for greater than 0, right? I am now decrementing the loop, right? I am decrementing the value of I from 5 to 4, and then it prints hello world. It again decrements the value. Now I becomes 4 minus 1, that means 3. It again prints hello world. I becomes 2. It again prints hello world. I becomes 1. It again prints hello world. Right? Now the I becomes 0, and it says, is 0 greater than 0? Is greater than 0? Is I greater than 0? It fails over here. It fails, and 5 times hello world is printed onto the console. So this is how you can change the, you can decrement and change the direction of running a loop, right? I can go to greater than 0, and I can start from, I is equals to I minus 1. You can do I is equals to I minus 1, and I can be greater than 0, and I is equals to, you can start with 5, right? So greater than 0, 5. Do you see this? The value of I goes from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So similarly, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, as soon as it becomes 0, this condition is failed and over, right? And similarly, instead of I is equals to I minus 1, you can also do I minus minus. It works the same way, right? It will work the same way. I think my playground has again hanged. I don't know why it's hanging again and again. Okay, I think some issue, but Let's go back, right? So this is how you run a for loop. Now let me tell you one more important thing, that let me ask you one more output question. Okay, let me ask you. I hope you are enjoying this. I hope you are understanding it and enjoying it. If you understand all these, I want to spend a lot of time in explaining this for loop to you, because this is very, very important, my dear friends. If you understand this, you will understand a lot of concepts. So I have my for loop. Let me give you a condition. Less than 4 I plus plus. What will happen now? What will be printed onto the console? Tell me. What will be printed onto the console? Tell me. What will be printed onto the console? So my I is 5. It checks for the first time if I is less than 4. So it says, no, it's not less than 4. This condition becomes false, right? This condition is not true even a single time. So what will happen? Will this run? Will this console log run? The answer is no. Nothing will happen, right? This loop will not even run for a single time, right? So this loop will not even run a single time. So suppose if I write a for and I would say let I is equals to 5, and if I say I is less than 4, so this condition will never be true, right? This condition will never be true. And I say I plus plus, and over here whatever I do, right? If I do console log of hello world, and then I also print comma plus I over here. So what will happen? This code will never run, right? Unless this condition is true, this code will never run. See, the console is empty. This will give me empty console. If I do 6 over here, it will run for one time. It will run for one time. Got it? So you have to play with these conditions, and then you have to understand that how things will work, right? So let me do one more, let me give you one more output question. Let me just do one more output question. Suppose if I starts from 0 and you say that, okay, I is greater than 0, right? I plus plus. So what will happen now, right? Try to dry run it and tell me, right? Try to dry run it and tell me what happens now. So what will happen? Initially I is 0, right? I is greater than 0. Let me make it I is equals to 1 over here, right? Otherwise the loop will not run. Let me make it 1 over here, right? So now let me just go back. So I is 1. So it checks, is I greater than 0? Yes, I is greater than 0. It prints hello onto the console. Now I plus plus happens. I becomes 1. Now I becomes 1. It checks, is it greater than 0? Yes. So again hello is printed. I becomes 2 now. It again checks, is my I greater than 0? Yes. So hello is printed. My I becomes 3 now. Again hello is printed. My I becomes 4 now. 4 is greater than 0. Yes. So what I'm trying to say is this condition will always be true. I will keep incrementing. It will go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It will keep going. And this is known as, my dear friends, this function is known as, this thing is known as infinite loop. Okay. This is known as infinite loop because this loop will never end. The condition is I greater than 0. That means this will be always true. No matter what you do, this condition will always be true. Okay. So if my I is equal to 1, and if I say I plus plus, and if I make it I is greater than 0, so this is kind of like an infinite loop, and this will hang my system, right? This will basically hang my laptop, right? See this will hang my browser because I have run an infinite loop, right? So this is an infinite loop, my dear friends. So and if you try to do it, it will hang your it will try to hang your browser, right? Because it keeps on running 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It keep on doing it. It will do it till my browser memory is consumed, right? So it will keep doing it. So that's how it is, my dear friends. So this is an infinite loop which I wanted to teach you. Cool. So we have seen a lot of cool stuff about loops. So this is what for loop was. Now let me tell you one more thing. Can you add a function inside a loop, right? How does that work, right? When I was, this is not the first time I'm teaching programming to students. I've taught it so many times, and there was a student who asked me this question, that Akshay, what happens if you call a function inside a loop? How will that work? It's very easy, my dear friends. Nothing different, right? So suppose if you do console.log, not console.log. Let me also tell you. Let me show you how to run. Let I is equals to 0, right? And then I can say I is less than 10, and then I can say I plus plus, right? And over here, what I'll do, I'll call a function over here, right? So you would understand it. So let me create a function. Let's call this as greet. Okay, greet. And then I can say console.log of namaste, right? Namaste. And then it can greet, right? It can namaste, right? It says just namaste over here, right? It just says namaste. So if I call my function greet over here inside a loop, see this, namaste. See, whatever you are writing inside these parentheses will happen in a loop. It will happen how many times? 10 times, because I'm going from 0 to less than 10. That means 0 to 9, right? And greet will be called 9 times, right? This is what happens if you call a function inside a loop. If suppose I pass I over here, and if I receive I over here, and if I add I over here, so you would see The one same thing, right? Namaste 0, Namaste 1, Namaste 2, Namaste 3, Namaste 4, and similarly, right? Nothing changes. It's very easy. Try to do it yourself, practice it yourself. It's very, very easy. You can add, you can keep doing the same thing again and again inside a loop. You can call a function, you can do whatever you want to. You can do if else over here. You can call a function. You can do any mathematical operation that you want to do over here, right? It's no restriction for us. Cool. So now let me also tell you one more crazy stuff. Now, because I can do this, okay, let me now tell you how array and loops work together. Okay, so it's a very interesting stuff. Not const. Let's write let arr is equals to my array, and let this array have some values, right? Suppose if the value has 6, 2, 0, and then I can say 8, and then I can say 3, and then I can say I think that's enough, right? So these are the array values. Now, as I already told you, remember, so if you do array of, if you do arr of 0, what happens is it gives you 10, right? It gives you 10. If I do arr of 6, it gives you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. ARR of 6, it gives you object. This means undefined, right? It's not printing over here undefined, but it's undefined because there is no sixth index over here. If I do ARR of 5, it gives me 3. If I do ARR of 4, it gives me 8, right? So we already know this. Let me also tell you, there is something known as calculating the length of this array, right? How do you calculate the length of this array? There is a function given to us by JavaScript, ARR. It's not a function, it's a property on array. You can call this arr.length, and it gives you the length of this array. And let me print this length to show you what the length is, right? So it says 6. That means the length of this array is 6. There are 6 elements in this array. Suppose if I add one more element over here, if I add 80 over here, it is becoming 7, right? So this arr.length gives you the length of that array. Now I would show you that how loops and array work together, right? How loops and array work together. So one thing I can tell you is that if I do arr of any index, if I do arr of 0, it prints 0 over here, right? What if I do arr of 1, it prints 6 over here. If I do arr of 1, it prints 6 over here. If I do arr of 2, it prints 2 over here. If I do arr of 2, and if I do arr of 3, it prints 10, 6, 2, 0, right? And similarly, I can just keep doing this. What if I do the same thing inside a loop, my dear friends? This is what I wanted to show you, right? That I can run a loop, right? That runs from 0 to 6, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? I can do something like this, right? So if my loop runs from 0 to 6, can I print all the values of my array? Yes, my dear friends, let me write it down and show it to you. So I want to run a loop from 0 till my I is less than arr.length, right? Or arr.length, I plus plus. I want to increment my I, and I want to do a console.log of my arr of I. So what's happening over here, my dear friends, is something. Do you understand this? Just try to read this code and just see what's happening, right? Let me zoom it a little more. Do you see this? So what I'm doing is arr over here, length is equals to arr.length. This will give me how much length? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 elements. This will give me 7. So my loop runs from 0 to arr.length. That means 7. You can write arr.length, or you can write length also over here, right? This is the length, this length. So this runs from 0 to 7, I plus plus, and it console logs arr of I. Arr of I. Okay, so what is ARR of I? ARR of, now how will this loop works? It will work ARR of 0, ARR of 1, ARR of 2, ARR of 3, ARR of 4, ARR of 5, ARR of 6. And then it went to ARR of 7. And as soon as it went to ARR of 7, it will end, right? It will not even go till 7, right? It will just go till less than length. Got it? So that's how you can print all the elements of an array using a for loop. You can print all the elements of array using a for loop. Got it, my dear friends? This is what I wanted to show you. Now let us write one more program. Suppose I wanted to check, print all the, okay, suppose my task is print all the even numbers in the array, right? All the even numbers I want to print onto the console, right? All the even numbers I want to print on the console. If they are not even, I don't want to print it, right? So what I can do is I can do a slight modification to this code. Whenever I am doing something like this, right? 0 to a.length, right? Or arr.length, right? Let me just write it like this, okay? So let me write it like this, okay? So I'm running my loop from 0 to arr.length. That means I'm iterating through this array. That means I am looping through this array one by one, right? Now I want to check for all even numbers. How can I check? If my arr of I means the current element. If my current element is even, right? How do I check for even? If my current element mod by 2 is equal to 0, then do a console.log of that number, right? So then do a console.log of that number. How do I do that? ARR of I. So do you see this? right? Now it will only print my even numbers and it will not print my odd number. It is printing 10, 6, 2, 0, 8, 80. It is not printing 3. And surprisingly, my array only has one odd number, right? Let me change it, right? Let me make some more odd numbers, right? 5. Cool. So now see, it prints all the even numbers. 10, it skips 5, 7, 0, 8, 80. So what's happening over here is, how do you dry run this code? So my I is going from 0 to length one by one, and each time my ARR of I is getting checked, and if this condition is true, then this code is executed and it logs ARR of I onto the console. Got it? Suppose if the same thing is that I want to print all the odd numbers over here, how would I do that? It's very easy. My ARR of I mod by 2 is equal to 1, right? If this is 1, that means it's odd number, so 5, 7, 3 is printed. So this is how you can add more complicated things. You can do a lot more amazing algorithms, and this is how you write coding. If you are understanding all of it, my dear friends, you are already in a very good state. If you are not able to understand what I am doing right now, then you need to pause the video, practice it yourself. If you don't understand, watch the video once again, rewatch the video once again. There is no limit to how many times you can watch this video. Please keep watching this video once again, and you can code, because I believe that everybody can code, my dear friends. Anybody can code. So please, please, please code. Once you code, once you write this logic yourself, you will be amazed. You would love to see how loops work, right? You just have to go to namastedev.com/playground and play with these loops, right? The more you play with loops, the better you will become in programming. Come on, now let's write while loop. Okay, so in the while loop is very similar to a for loop, right? The only thing is these three things happen in while loop also, right? The three things, initialization, condition, and this thing happens inside while loop also, but the order of writing them is a little different. So how do you write a while loop? You initialize on the top just like a normal variable, and then you write a while loop, and over here you write a condition. Suppose if you want to run a while loop from 0 to 5, so over here you will give a condition, I is less than 5, right? Suppose this, and over here, while I is less than 5, and I can do, it says it's an infinite loop, don't worry about it, and I can do I, and the increment you can do it over here at the last line of this while loop, and whatever you have to do, you do it here, right? This is body of loop, right? So in the for loop, we were writing these three statements together. In while loop, we have scattered these all and we have written it like this. If you do a console.log of hello world, it will behave the same way, right? It will print. How will this work? Let me just tell you. I is 0, right? I is 0. What it will do, it will print hello world, right? It will print hello world. Now my I becomes 1. It checks, is it less than 5? Yes, it is less than 5. Again prints hello world. I becomes 2. Again checks, right? This loop goes on. Do you want, let me just show it. I am not going to be lazy, right? I want you to understand it properly. Let me dry run and show it to you. It does not need a dry run because it's a very simple, easy explanation. But again, right, still I would do it for you all. Let I is equals to 0, while I is less than 5, right? I plus plus, the condition is over here. And then I can do a console.log of hello world over here, right? So how does this loop work? Let me just show it to you. Let me change the color right over here. So again, we have a console. So I initially is 0, right? I is 0 initially. It checks for the condition, right? It checks for the condition. Yes, it is less than 5. It executes hello, right? It executes, it prints on the log, and do a I plus plus. As soon as it does a I plus plus, it becomes 1. It again goes over here. This body is executed again and again. It again goes, checks the condition. 1 is less than 5. Yes. So hello is printed. Then hello is printed. I becomes 2, right? Again goes, hello is printed. Yes, hello is printed. I becomes 3. Similarly, I becomes 4. Similarly, as soon as I becomes 5, now this fails. As soon as I becomes 5, I is less than 5. No, it fails, and this loop is ended. So it works very similar to for loop. Just the way of writing this loop is a little different. Otherwise, it is very, 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 very similar to for loop. Okay. So that's all in this video, my dear friends. Hope you are enjoying this tutorials. I would request you to please keep practicing, because without practice, you will not become a great programmer. And I, as a teacher, feel anybody can code, and I will make you fall in love with coding if you keep following what I do. If you keep practicing what I do, what I'm telling you, if you're following it, you will become a great programmer very soon. Thank you so much for watching these videos, my dear friends. I would request you to please share a word about us. Please give us a shout out on any social media you like. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you are. Just tag me, write something about these tutorials, and it will help me reach more and more people. Thank you so much for watching the videos, my dear friends. I will see you in the next video where I will be talking more about loops. I would be solving more problems, and that would be an amazing session, right? Now we are increasing the level of complexity. We will see a lot more cool stuff. We will write loop inside loops. We'll write a double loop also, and it will be an amazing knowledge, super power-packed session that will be. Hope you are excited as much as I am, and I will see you in the next episode. Namaste.